I'm Carter, and when my wife ignored my calls all day, leaving my phone buzzing unanswered and my mind racing, I didn't know whether to feel worried, frustrated, or furious. And by the time it hit 10 at night, and she finally came home, smirking as she walked to the door and said, "You know what? I realized that whatever game she was playing had already thrown me off balance completely." The day had started normally, with our usual morning routine of coffee, small talk, and plans for the evening. But soon after leaving for work, my calls began going unanswered, my texts ignored, and each passing hour only amplified the knot of anxiety and irritation in my chest. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she was busy. Maybe her phone died. Maybe something urgent came up. But as the minutes turned into hours, my thoughts spiraled, imagining every possible scenario from the mundane to the dramatic, and still no response. Friends and co-workers offered advice, half joking, half serious, telling me to relax, to assume the best, but nothing could calm the tension building inside me, the growing uncertainty of not knowing what she was doing or why she was deliberately ignoring me. By 10, my patience had thinned to a thread, my thoughts alternating between confrontation and retreat. And then she appeared, walking in like she owned the moment, smiling faintly, a mischievous glint in her eyes. The words, "You know what," hung in the air, both teasing and frustrating, because I had no idea whether she meant something significant, something playful, or something calculated to provoke a reaction. I could feel my heartbeat accelerate, a mixture of relief that she was home and irritation at the mysterious power she had exerted over my entire day. And in that split second, I realized that communication is fragile, that control in a relationship is often an illusion, and that patience can be tested in the most subtle ways. I kept my composure, although every instinct screamed to demand answers, to assert myself, to voice the storm of questions that had piled up in my mind over 10 long hours of silence. But instead, I let her words settle, noticing the calm confidence in her posture, the way she seemed entirely in control of the narrative, and I realized that part of the power she held came not from malice, but from her understanding of timing, suspense, and emotional tension that had quietly built throughout the day. She walked past me, casually placing her bag down, and I studied her, trying to read her expression, to anticipate the punchline, to find a hint of sincerity or mischief that could guide my next move. Her smirk suggested she knew exactly how much the day had affected me, how my unanswered calls had gnawed at my patience, and how uncertainty had made me overthink every possibility. I felt the mix of frustration and admiration that comes when someone wields subtle influence with such finesse, knowing that my reaction, whether calm or heated, would be a testament to my own patience and self-control. For a moment, I considered responding with sarcasm, teasing, or even passive-aggressive commentary, but I realized that the power of silence could speak louder than any words I might choose in haste. Instead, I took a breath, letting the tension simmer, allowing her smirk and the you-know-what to hang in the air as a silent acknowledgement of the day's unspoken game. As the evening progressed, she revealed the reason behind her disappearance. Nothing dramatic, just a mix of errands, surprise plans, and a small gesture she'd been keeping secret to unveil later. But the real lesson was in the way she handled the situation, the way she had reminded me, without shouting, that emotional dynamics in a relationship are delicate, that control is often psychological rather than physical, and that patience is both a virtue and a weapon. By the time the night ended, I understood that the day's anxiety, the hours of unanswered calls, and her carefully timed entrance had been a test, not of trust, but composure, understanding, and the willingness to navigate uncertainty without panic. I realized that sometimes the most significant moments in a relationship aren't the grand gestures, but the small, strategic acts that reveal personality, patience, and emotional depth, and that her smirk, that casual, you-know-what, would linger in my memory far longer than any actual confrontation could. In the quiet aftermath, I appreciated the subtlety of the day, the intricate dance of anticipation and revelation, and the reminder that relationships are as much about managing emotions as they are about sharing love.